Good evening. Welcome to the Ombudsman's program on DATV, and thank you for joining the program this evening. I'm very honored to have with me on this day of the solar eclipse, which was so magnificent. Our Northwest Branch Manager of the Dayton Metro Library, Miss Sharon Taste, who is going to tell us everything we need to know about the library. One of the ones that is, of course, our whole library system is important, but the Northwest Library Branch is a very important piece of our library system in the Dayton area and provides so many good resources and services. So, Sharon, thank you very much for joining me for the program. I appreciate your time and the information you're going to give us all.
You're welcome, Diane. Thank you for the invitation.
Of course. I'm just going to tell our viewers a little bit about you, although many of them may already know you from being in your library and gaining assistance from you and your staff for various research and interest needs. But uh, Sharon, Miss Taste, began her library career as a library aide at Madden Hills when she was still even in school. So she has had herself in this career for quite some time, which to me indicates a true love of one's profession, starting at such a young age. Since then, she's worked in several positions throughout the Dayton Metro Library system and believes that being a librarian or librarianship is one of the most rewarding careers with opportunities for many, many individuals. So I hope that people watching the program tonight will keep that in mind for themselves or for their loved ones or for their children or their grandchildren, because the field of librarianship is ever changing, and I'm sure Sharon will tell us all about that, and always requiring new talent and new resources. And Sharon, I particularly like the quote that you have chosen to put on the website about yourself. And would you like to provide that to our viewers yourself, or shall I read it to them?
No, I would be happy to share the quote that's included in my bio on the library's website. And it basically says, if not now, when? And if not me, then who?
Yeah.
So that quote is so inspiring to me because it basically holds me accountable for being the change that I desire to see in the world.
Thank you. That's really on this special day. That's equally as moving as what a lot of us witnessed this afternoon. Well, since I'm already kind of talking about the eclipse, I think it's on everybody's lips and minds who was able to be in the viewing area to see it. Would you like to start off? Before I get to the mission of the library, would you like to start off with what the library's activities were today around this solar event?
Sure. So today, our youth service team, they scheduled a eclipse viewing party. And basically, what that consisted of was we had some extra eclipse glasses that we had not distributed with our previous distribution. And those were purposely held back at all of our locations because we knew that we would be having patrons stopping by to use the library as a site to view the eclipse. And so patrons were able to obtain the eclipse glasses as long as the supplies lasted. And then the youth service team, they also had some engaging activities built around craft activities that the families and kids could participate in. And we ended up having inside of the library and counting those individuals who were on the exterior of the branch, about 100 people that were
Wow.
here today to view the eclipse. So the program was a huge success. And although it's difficult for the library to determine how many of those individuals this was their first time at Northwest, I would put, money on it that there were probably a significant number of patrons that were inside and outside of the library that this was probably their first time visiting Northwest. And it was all because of the hoopla that was surrounded around the eclipse.
Oh, that's wonderful. Anything that brings people into the library and gets them comfortable being there or being in the or being even in the parking lot. That's still,
Exactly.
yeah, that's still close. And because I recall living near the Northwest Library and using it myself, I do recall during the COVID days, I recall seeing a lot of cars in the library where people were probably connecting to Wi-Fi that they did not have at home that they could use through the library. But we can come back and revisit that. Before
Mhm.
we go further, I'd like you to kind of introduce our viewers to what the mission of the library is. I mean, they have been around for so many years and they've been all about books, but I'll let you tell them the new and improved and revamped mission of our wonderful library system.
So I will start out by saying that the mission for the Dayton Metro Library is to connect patrons of all ages to resources and services. And one of the ways that we do that is by offering programs as well as services connected to things like wireless printing. And also we have here at the library, we have embedded in our space, we have a homework help center. So the new facilities that our libraries have built are intended to serve as a community hub where people can not only come here to utilize the technology that we have within our buildings, but it is also a place where people can come to gather and meet, to socialize, as well as to have actual meetings. And another part of the library's mission is that we serve as what I like to describe change agents. And so, change agents, where we are advocates of inclusivity and we are advocates of promoting change. And so, the change part is somewhat connected to the quote that we started out with, where it's a if not now, then when, and if not who, if not me, then who. So our library understands that libraries have evolved and changed into something different than what they were in the past. And so it is important for us to not only promote programming programming and services, but one of our areas that we are champions in is literacy. So we try to do our due diligence when it comes to connecting families to not only resources and services, but helping families and children to understand the importance of actually having a physical library card. And a lot of times when I am having conversations with individuals, whether we're in the library or outside of the library, I try to help them to imagine their library card being comparison to a actual physical credit card. And the difference between the two is that their library card opens up the door to so many opportunities for them to not only to explore learning, but it also gives them the opportunity to explore and to be creative and to be innovative.
That's really a wonderful analogy that you have made. And since we're on the topic of the importance of the library card, please tell our viewers what is involved in obtaining a library card from the Dayton Metro Library System, whether one is a child and wants to get that card or an adult. What has to be done in order to obtain this card that is a key that opens doors to so many other things?
So, one of the wonderful things about applying for a library card with the Dayton Metro Library System is that anyone of any age can apply for a library card. So, one of the ways that we encourage parents who are expecting to utilize our library and to utilize it in a way that it even benefits the child that is not yet born is to apply for a library card immediately after the child is born. And I know sometimes it's probably hard to imagine, why would a parent want to apply for a library card for a child that is not yet reading? But that's the point. We want to get the family, we want to get the child connected to literacy as early as possible. So children 0 to 105 can apply for a library card. And it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You have several options as far as how you can obtain a library card. And one of those is actually coming into the library, and the patron is asked to show some form of ID for us to process the application. But patrons can also start that process on our library website by applying for what we call a e-digital card. So that card can be used to check out resources that are in the e-digital format without even coming in physically into the library. But if they want to get an actual physical card, then they would need to visit the Northwest branch or one of our other branches that may be closer to where they live. And it's pretty much the same process, is showing your ID, and then we process the library card. So we have several types of library cards that patrons can apply for. We have what we call the traditional library card, which can be issued to patrons of all ages. And then we have a student card that students can obtain without a signature of an adult. So the traditional card, if the individual is under 18, it requires parent signature before the card can be issued. But if a student is 18 and younger, they can apply for a student card without the parent being present. And one of the reasons why the library began offering that type of card some time ago is to remove barriers to service. So we wanted to be able to enable students who were here at the library to be able to still apply for library cards, even if their parents were not accompanying them at the library. So the student card has a lower limit as far as how many items can be checked out and what type of formats can be checked out compared to a traditional card. And we also have another card, which is considered somewhat of a transient card that we also offer. And again, it's to help to remove barriers to service.
Now that's wonderful. That's very good. So it sounds like the ID requirements are basically a residency and or a name or something like that to show who you are to obtain that card.
So the ID is requested so that the library can verify that the information that an individual is putting on their application or the information that they loaded in the electronic format is accurate. So any individual that lives within the state of Ohio can apply for a library card.
Okay.
So if someone moves to Ohio from another state, then the only thing the library would request of them is they can bring in their ID from the previous place where they live, along with a piece of mail or a document that has their current address on it that is, within the city of Dayton or within the state of Ohio, and then they can apply for a library card.
Well, it sounds like all attempts are made in order to ease that process, and as you said earlier, to remove the barriers. Of course, I have a lot of questions for you for this program, but we already have a caller, and so
Okay.
I don't want to make that person wait to hear your answer. It
Okay.
is a person calling in that states that he or she is a retired professor and enjoy reading to children. And is there a program at the library where this person might be able to volunteer to read to children?
So, yes, the Northwest branch prior to 2024, we were a Reading Buddy site. And the Reading Buddy program is offered at select locations throughout the Dayton Metro Library system. And the way that an individual would get connected to our Reading Buddies program is through our volunteer coordinator, and her name is Amanda Arrington. She is the Dayton Metro Library's volunteer coordinator, and the Reading Buddies program is under her umbrella. She facilitates that program. So the individual on the call tonight, they can either reach out to Amanda Arrington or they can contact me. And my contact number is 937-496-8730. And I can connect them with Amanda. So the individuals that volunteer for the Reading Buddy program, their responsibility, or I should say the mission, the purpose of the Reading Buddies program is to provide support to kids by helping them to improve their literacy skills. And again, the program is operated through individuals that are part of our Dayton Metro Library volunteer program.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for that information. And I hope other viewers hearing that who like to read to young people will also take up that opportunity along with our caller. For those of us that are active readers, library is of course a source of books, but they also libraries have so much more now, and you've already mentioned the e-system online. But can you describe something about the holdings of your branch, Northwest Branch Library, and then how, if it's not present at your library, how users would be able to connect and get the availability to additional library sources?
Sure. So here at the Northwest Branch, our collections consist of bound resources as well as other formats such as audiobook on CD. We have DVDs, we have music CDs, and we also have magazines. And when we're talking about our collections here at the library, one of the things that I will mention, and patrons will probably notice this throughout our library system, that some of our fiction collections are not interfiled, they're separated. So, for example, if someone is interested in the genre mystery or westerns or sci-fi, those collections are shelved independently and they are not interfiled with what we call our regular fiction titles. And within our library system, we have what they call dedicated spaces. So, for example, in the adult space of the library is where an individual would find all of the materials that would be geared towards an adult reader. And then we have a designated space for our teens. And within that area, you would find the collections that are designated for teens. And then we have our children's area where that room is geared towards kids that are 0 through 6th grade. And that is where an individual would find all of the materials that are geared towards children. And one of the other exciting things about our children's space here at Northwest, but again, all of our locations have a designated space called a story corner, but our story corners look different at each location. And so here at Northwest, one of the things that we have done is we have placed what we call learning manipulatives that are within the space. So when children and families are occupying that space, learning is still taking place through play. And also off of our children's room, we have an outdoor fenced-in patio where kids can go out, during the time of the year when it's warm. Children can also go out on the patio and do some non-traditional learning out on our patios as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. And of course, within all of those different collections, there are resource librarians to help point people in the right direction if they're looking for something in particular, to get them into the right place to find what they're looking for.
That's correct. Yes. One of the ways in which we assist patrons when they are requesting individualized assistance is that a patron can actually schedule what we call a one-on-one session with a librarian. And those sessions are normally anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. And during those sessions, the individual receives one-on-one assistance with whatever they have requested assistance with. So, for example, handheld devices such as phones, tablets, laptops, things of that nature are some of the requests that we often receive from patrons when they are requesting a one-on-one. But we also have patrons who have recently started requesting one-on-ones with one of our librarians who has a specialty in genealogy. And
Oh,
so, yes, so she's been assisting them with their requests pertaining to genealogy. And then I wanted to kind of circle back and just talk a little bit about another service that we offer. And this
please.
service is offered system wide, but we offer what we call an interlibrary loan service where patrons can request materials that are not currently a part of our collection throughout the entire library system. So most of the requests that we often receive through interlibrary loan is for textbooks that students need for a college course, or it's some unique type of research that someone may be doing and they need a rare book that is not available within the Dayton Metro Library system. And the interlibrary loan borrowing is a free service, so there is no fee. However, the loan period for those items that are borrowed through interlibrary loan is determined by the lending library. So interlibrary loan is basically a consortium of libraries in and outside of the state that Dayton Metro Library can connect with to retrieve materials that are not currently held within our collections.
Okay, and in order to find something that is available through interlibrary loan, that information is there online and in the library, or is special help needed for that?
So an individual that is interested in submitting a interlibrary loan would need to connect with a librarian at the library. And so sometimes patrons have all of the information that is needed to quickly locate a title. So for example, they may have the title, they may have the author of the book that they are looking for. And some people even come in with the ISBN number for us to use as well to locate materials. But then sometimes we get the stump the librarian type of questions where patrons may not have any of that information that I just indicated. And so we have to do some in-depth research to try to find out the exact title that the patron is requesting.
Certainly. Well, it sounds like that's a fantastic resource for students. As you mentioned, the possibility of textbooks, because those could be quite expensive.
Exactly.
And that would be a really good resource for people to be aware of. Um, as I said, I got a lot more questions, but we also have callers that have questions. So
Okay.
another one that's come in is that with so many books available digitally, does your library have access to digital books in other libraries and collections? I think you've sort of touched on that, but I'll let you answer the caller's question more completely.
So there, through our interlibrary loan program, some formats we are not able to obtain. And so I think it would be on a case by case basis to try to determine whether we can borrow a e-digital resource from a lending library. So again, I believe just from my past experiences, it's on a case by case basis, because even though Dayton Metro Library is part of a consortium, choose to lend to other libraries outside of their system. So most of the time we are successful in obtaining the requested information regardless of the format, but then sometimes we are not as successful because, again, the borrowing terms of a item, and it really doesn't depend, it doesn't, it's not dependent upon the format. It's mostly dependent upon whether the library that has the holding, it is something that they loan out for circulation.
Certainly.
So
So whoever,
we
who,
yeah, we always try. We can always try.
yes, but you have it's whoever owns it says where it can go, right? So it's they have it then. You've already mentioned the very interesting children's corners and those types of programs, but how does the library work with school systems to um, get together what is needed for complementary, educational type of programs?
So our library system, we definitely do not live on an island. So we are dependent upon partnerships. So one of the things that we do extremely well is outreach into our community. So our children's librarians, they have what we call dedicated visits to the schools where they are providing what we call teacher collections that are used to supplement the school curriculum. And they also provide story time while they're there. And it depends on how much time is allotted for their visit. They may also include some type of craft. So I mentioned earlier about our homework help center that we have embedded here at the library. And the homework help center is geared towards kids that are K through 12th grade. And the center is opened Monday through Thursdays from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And it is an opportunity for families and kids to visit the library to receive help with their homework. And the Homework Help Center is facilitated by our family engagement coordinator, Miss Daria Stone, and her team. They operate the Homework Help Center. And ever since Northwest has provided that service, we have seen huge, huge success with children improving not only academically, but children also improving when it comes to their soft skills, when it comes to their social skills, because one of the things that Mrs. Stone is committed to is she is not only committed to helping kids to excel academically, but she is committed and dedicated to helping families and kids to also succeed outside of the classroom.
Okay, well, that it sounds like that's a probably a hugely beneficial and well used service that you have there, particularly at Northwest. That's wonderful. Is it too early in the year to talk very much about summer programming, or are you all way down the line on that already?
Well, no, actually, our library system, we program very far out. So, for example, I will talk about the summer programming, but our library system is already looking towards fall now
Okay.
for programming. So no, this is an excellent, to be honest with you, this is an excellent time to have that conversation, because one of the things that our library is discovering is that the sooner you can get the information out and into the hands of families, the more likely they are to be available to come and support the programs. So we try to stay ahead and try to get the information out as soon as possible. So I will run down the list of some of the things that we have planned for the summer. And one of them is one of our most popular programs that we offer every summer, and it is the Summer Reading Challenge. And so this year, the challenge will cover all ages. And when I say all ages, I mean we're going to have something for the adults as well. And
Well, that's good.
yes. So it'll run from June the 1st through July the 31st. And our theme for summer challenge is Adventure Begins at Your Library. And then we will also be partnering with the Dayton Public Schools Summer Lunch Program. And I don't have the exact date and time that will be taking place, but that will be something else that will be offered this summer. And each summer we partner with the Greater Dayton YMCA, and we host their, what I like to call their on the road traveling outdoor exercise program, which is called Y on the Fly. And we will also have a partnership with the Junior League of Dayton, and our Homework Help Center over the summer, it transitioned into what we call a summer edition of Homework Help. So basically what that looks like is we try to keep the learning continuing over the summer, but we do it in a more laid back type setting where the kids are learning through music, art, and crafts. So those are some of the things that we have coming up for the summer. And we also have a program called Baby and Toddler Story Time, Mother Goose on the Loose. That will start on May the 7th. And for the more seasoned crowd, we have a program on May the 20th called Mental Health and Well-Being. So those are some of the things that are happening in the summer.
Oh, that sounds very enticing and very interesting for all of the patrons there. And is there a need to sign up, or does one just appear?
So for the majority of the programs that I mentioned, they are all, you can just walk in and participate in the programs. The mental health and well-being, if you go on our library website, it will indicate whether registration is required or not. And the same thing for the baby and toddler story time, the Mother Goose on the Loose. If you go on our library website, it'll indicate whether registration is required.
Okay, thank you. So, why don't you give our viewers that website so they will have that?
Okay, so the website for the Dayton Metro Library is www.daytonmetrolibrary.org, all one word.
Okay, very good. So people can then check that out. As we've talked about so many different resources and programs and activities, is it possible for you to say which you think are the most sought out resources at the Northwest branch? And then after that, how might those differ from some of our other branches?
Okay, so I'll go down the list, and one that is always in the forefront of my mind are the spaces here at the library. And they have proven to be of great need to the individuals in and outside of what we describe as the the Northwest Branch Service District. So when the library was in the process of designing this building, we had listening sessions for residents to help the library to better understand what amenities would be of interest to them. And what kept floating to the top of the list was people wanted spaces in the library where they could study. They wanted spaces in the library where they could have events. They wanted spaces in the library where they could have meetings or just socialize. So the hot commodity here at Northwest is our spaces. We were open 6 days out of the week, and I will tell you, there are very few days throughout the week where you can walk in this building and easily find a space that is open and available to use, because our spaces here are in high demand. And even on the weekends, the spaces are still in high demand. We have a laptop dispenser where patrons can borrow laptops and use them here in the library. And then, of course, our collections are also something that I would list as things that are in demand. We have what they call a recording studio here at Northwest, and it is in demand, heavily used. And the equipment that's in that space is quality equipment, where we have patrons that come in and they are recording for their podcast. They're recording uh, music that they can send off to, someone that they are seeking to get their music produced, or to, become more known in the music industry. Of course, we have over 50 computers here at the library that patrons can use, and we also have a computer lab that individuals can also reserve for having different types of computer sessions. And we are the only branch in the library system that has a cafe cart. And our cafe cart is ran by Chef Shonda Houston. She is the owner of Remixed. I'll have to kind of cheat here, look at my cheat sheet here.
That's
Uh,
okay.
yeah, but Shonda is the owner of Remixed Sweets and Eats, and so she runs our cafe cart, and the cart is opened Monday through Thursdays from 11:30 to 5 o'clock. And then we have the lobby hold lockers that are in our lobby, and all of our lobbies at the main library, including the branches, are what we call 24-hour lobbies. So patrons can request that their holds that they request be placed in the lobby hold locker, because that gives them the opportunity to be able to pick up their materials when it's best suitable for them. So those are some of the in-demand things that we have here at Northwest, including our gaming systems. We have two gaming systems. We have a PS5 for the teens, and we have we have a Switch for the younger children.
Well, thank you very much, Sharon. I appreciate your bringing that on. I'm going to have to get myself educated about those types of things, because I'm not, I don't even know enough to ask you about that, but I'm glad you mentioned it, and glad that you say that you have it. So it's also a lot of community groups I know that come in and use your meeting spaces and your event spaces. So if you want to get something on the books, on the schedule, people need to plan in advance, it sounds like, because there's a lot of demand for those, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing. I know when we built the new library system, that was an important component, a part of the philosophy that the library brought to that whole building enterprise, was to have spaces where people could congregate. And sounds like those are really being used. I'm glad. We have another caller that has a question that can be somewhat controversial within library systems these days, about whether or not, or how do you all handle objections by people who might want to censor some of the materials that are available through the library for whatever reasons. Oftentimes it seems political, but how does the Dayton Metro Library deal with those types of issues, please?
So one of the things that our library board did some time ago is they passed a resolution to make the Dayton Metro Library a book sanctuary. And basically what that means is, as a book sanctuary, the library is committed to retaining books of diversity that speaks to a variety of audiences, because the library understands that the communities that we serve are very diverse, and the library also understands that, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the program, that the library serves as change agents in our community, where we promote inclusivity. Okay, we are a library system where we understand that everybody is free to belong here at the library, and so we try to demonstrate that by serving as a book sanctuary.
That's good. Thank you very much for answering that. What would you what's your general patron? I'm not sure how to phrase this question exactly, but I'm sure you know how to answer it. How do you count? Do you count monthly? Do you count annually? I'm sure you count both. You're counting ages. How are you measuring the use of the library, and what would you like to share with the viewers about how much our Northwest Library is utilized by the population?
So the library system, every month, there are what they call door count reports that are generated for every location. And then those reports are sent out to the branches. So we are able to compare our door stats monthly. And the some of the data that is contained in those reports is it gives you a average number of individuals that visit your library each day, and then it gives you also a total of the number of individuals that have visited your location within a month's time. So for example, in the month of February, we had an average visit count of 583, and the total visitors for the entire month of March was over 13,000. And then for the month of March, we had an average number of people visiting the branch of 604, and that equated out to over 15,000 for the entire month of February.
So I would say, or would you say that that is heavy use for among our Dayton Metro Library system, or is it heavy? Is it moderate? How would you describe that for us?
So I would say that these numbers are a good reflection of what we see in real time here at the Northwest Library. Each day is different and each location is different. So the foot traffic is going to look different at different locations. But when it comes to Northwest, I would say that these numbers do accurately reflect the number of people that are visiting the library on a daily basis as well as on a monthly basis.
Okay. And uh, what, what, what are the bus lines that assist people to get to the library?
So the RTA, we have two bus stops that are in very close proximity to the library. One of them is at the corner of Hillcrest and Philadelphia, and then we have another bus stop that sits right in front of the library. And my team helped me today to come up with the bus numbers, but I believe if I recall correctly, they told me that there is a number 8 bus that runs on Salem Avenue where patrons can exit the bus at the corner of Salem and Philadelphia and then walk up to the library. And then there is a number 2 and I believe a number 12, which are the buses that are in closer proximity to the branch.
Well, it sounds with the numbers that you've just given in the previous discussion that there's people are not having a problem at all accessing the library or getting there because you've got so many folks coming, which is really very good. What would you see is our if you had a magic wand, and what would you like to see with the Northwest Library in the near future if you could have any wish granted?
So I would say my wish would be for families who are not currently library card holders instructors to obtain a library card and utilize it in a way that would be best beneficial for them and their children. And so I think it starts somewhere. It has to start somewhere. And so if that means it starts with, parents coming in and applying for a card for their child, and then they apply for their card later, then it's a win. Or if it starts with the parent coming in to apply for a card and then they apply for cards for their children later, it's a win. The important thing is every household in the city of Dayton, every household in Montgomery County that has a library, a Dayton Metro Library, anywhere within its vicinity, should utilize the library in a way that works best for them.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We do not have a lot of time left. So, as I promised, I wanted to give you a little bit of time for any closing remarks that you might like to make, or if there's any points or highlights that you would like to make that I have not asked you about. But I'd like to have that time for you now, please.
Okay, so I think I'll end with just talking about some other upcoming programs. And
Lovely.
I also wanted to mention our partnership that we have with the city of Dayton. So Northwest has served as a VITA tax preparation site since 2017. And it is a tremendous help to the residents in this community to be able to come here and have their taxes prepared for free. So, as you know, we're coming to the end of the official filing season for taxes, which is April the 15th. So the VITA tax preparers will be here at Northwest this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And then their last day, of course, will be on Monday, which is the 15th. And the hours are 10 to 3 o'clock each day. And we have some programs that are coming up that are, and I believe these are all summer programs that are geared towards teens. And one of them is Anime Club. And then we have a teen DIY program that's on June the 10th. And we have a youth entrepreneurial camp. This will be the second session for the youth entrepreneurial camp. We had a session a couple weeks ago. And so we're hoping that because school will be out around the time when this next session is being held in June, that we will see an increase in participants.
Oh, that's good. I certainly hope that you will. It sounds good, and all the information that people need about these would be available on the website that you provided, correct?
Correct. That is correct.
Okay, or it's available in the library if somebody is hearing this evening and they want to get the information right on their next visit to the library, they can do that as well.
That's correct. And another thing I'll say about accessing our website is you can actually just type Dayton Metro Library and the link will automatically appear.
Well, that just makes it easier than ever, doesn't it? That's the very good way. I mean, there's no wrong door, and there's as you said earlier in the beginning of the program, trying to remove every possible barrier that there is for people getting to use the library and getting the information that they need from it. So thank you very much, Sharon, for your time tonight. I really appreciate your telling our viewers all about the Northwest branch and the many programs that you have going there. And it's certainly clear that you and your team are very busy people, and we thank you for the work that you do. We appreciate that, and thank you for being with me tonight.
All right. And thank you, Diane, for the invitation.
My pleasure. Thank you. And good night, viewers. Thank you for watching and calling in.